Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Georgianne and this is my first video on YouTube. So I have suffered from psoriasis, I guess for like probably 15-16 years now. I was diagnosed with it when I was 16 years old, and at the time I had it all over my legs and my elbows, and it was just so embarrassing, especially as a 16-year-old. You know, I was like going off to college with it. I remember like I had it for like years, and you just want it to like, I was also living in Las Vegas, Nevada, so it's super hot. You just want to wear shorts, you want to show your legs, you want to wear sundresses, and I had these like red splotches all over my legs, and it was just super, just tragic for me. For anyone who doesn't know, psoriasis is an autoimmune disorder that basically causes your body to create excess skin cells, which causes a lot of like plaquey redness all over your body. Famously, Kim Kardashian has psoriasis, and can I tell you that when she came out publicly with her psoriasis, I was just like, thank God, because I remember vividly when I was trying to figure out as a teenager if there was any celebrity I could look to that had any tips or tricks as to how to be glamorous or be sexy or be attractive while having this, you know, skin disease, this very visible skin disease. Who could I like turn to? Who could I follow? Product recommendations from, etc. When I Googled it, I literally Googled celebrities with psoriasis. The first search result was, because psoriasis is such a shameful disorder, no celebrities have come forward with having it. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, Google. So obviously that wasn't a treat, but when Kim Kardashian came out publicly saying that she has it and suffers from it, probably like 6-7 years ago, I was like, wow. I mean, I'm not a huge Kardashian fan, but I really do admire her for that. And she has actually just recently come out with an entire line of like body makeup that is, she's demonstrated on her own skin that works very, very well to hide psoriasis. And in her before and after pictures, you can see that she's truly, truly suffering from it more than I even am. So yeah, like super happy that somebody of her, you know, visibility is coming forward and making sure everyone knows that like this is just a, you know, autoimmune disorder that like people have. It's not contagious. It's not something that you did, you know, it's just something that, you know, you were born with, and that is flares up every once in a while, and it's an inconvenience and it sucks, but you know, you can deal with it. So what I wanted to do was talk about, in my 15 years of having this condition, what I've used and what has worked and what hasn't. And I swear to God, I think I've used everything. So what I don't have everything I've ever used, but I have everything that I've cared to keep. So yeah, if I have it here, it means that it's worked enough for me to keep. So first, let me just show you like mainly like what I'm talking about with my psoriasis. Luckily, like I mentioned, I had it all over the place before, all up and down my legs, on my feet. Oh my God. I had it all over my feet, all over my legs, and now I actually just only have it really on my elbows. So you can kind of see that there's like redness and bumpiness, and actually this is very good right now. This is like better than it has been, and it's probably because I've been taking a couple weeks off of wine, and definitely alcohol is not good for it. So so whenever you can like detox, it does tend to help it a little bit, but yeah, like and eating healthy and stuff like that, which I've been trying to do for the past couple weeks, helps it. But yeah, sometimes, you know, if you're on vacation or something, that could lead to a flare up. But I've actually been pretty good, so it's not so bad. So yeah, on my elbows, and then I get it on my scalp as well, which is super embarrassing because that like just looks like, you know, white flakiness all over. I normally wouldn't even wear a black t-shirt if it was really bad, but luckily it hasn't been super bad lately. So anyway, back to what has worked for me. So this is the first thing that ever worked for me. I remember that somebody recommended this to me when I was in Florida on vacation with my family when I was like 18 years old. And I went to Walgreens like literally that day. Like I had my mom drive me to Walgreens in Florida, and we picked this up and I started using it, and it was like overnight it like fixed everything. I mean, I don't want to oversell it because it honestly hasn't done as much for me since that day than what I remember. But I remember spraying it that night and waking up, and it was like the areas that were affected were like 50% better, like in one night. So this is called Dermazinc. It's a spray. You just like spray it right on. I can only find it on Amazon now. It's like $25 for this thing. It's pretty pricey, but if you know, as I'm sure anyone who is actually suffering from psoriasis knows, you will pay almost anything. So $25 is really not that much when it comes to like what it did for me. And yeah, it worked really well at the time. This was before using tanning beds was like the dumbest thing you could ever do by any standard, but they did help. I did use them back then. This was in like 2003 before everyone knew how bad they were, and I did use them in combination with this, and it did work. I don't know if the risk is worth the reward, but just being honest, I did tan like 3 times a week, and it helped a little bit in combination with this. So that like cleared up a lot of it for a while. But it's always been on my elbows. It's always come back here and there. So I've tried over-the-counter stuff quite a bit, including, you know, trusty spray that I get from Amazon. I think this is my 4th bottle. I also use this. This is a coal tar. I think anybody who has psoriasis or has dealt with psoriasis has dealt with a coal tar. They suck. They're very smelly. They're very goopy. They're gross. They're the opposite of a spa day. Like it's self-care, but it doesn't feel like self-care. It's just not pleasant, but it works. For the most part, for most people, it does work. I remember that I kept this because it, you know, did the same thing that this spray did for me at one time. I almost feel like sometimes your body almost builds up a bit of a tolerance to one treatment that you've been using. So bringing something new in does tend to kind of give you a bit of instant gratification where your, you know, condition gets much better very quickly. And that's what I think I found with this. So this is called Psoriasis. This is, I think you can find this at like Walgreens or something. And I think it's like $9.99. And it's just any typical coal tar. Like the number one active ingredient is coal tar. So anything that has coal tar as the active ingredient is something to try. I think it works differently for everyone, but definitely it works for someone because it's one of the number one ways to deal with psoriasis. So those are probably the 2 most popular over-the-counter things that people tend to use. I actually have 3 prescriptions that I find work for me really well. So if you do have a doctor that you can talk to about, I would definitely recommend talking about one of these. So one of them is this shampoo. It's called ketoconazole. It's very, very mild. You just wash your hair with it 3 times a week, leave it on for like 5 or 10 minutes. And I find that if you have like scalp psoriasis, it really like clears it up for a while. The only sucky thing is that, you know, it's not good to wash your hair that often. And I wish I was the type of person that could go like 3-4 days without washing their hair. But I know that I need to use this about every other day. So I have to at least wash every other day. But this is a prescription, but it's not a steroid. So it's very mild. You don't have any side effects from it. And I don't see any reason why anyone would have any trouble getting it, you know, prescribed by their doctor if they have any kind of like itching or scalp psoriasis, because it does help. The 2 treatments that I find that work the best, and these are steroids, so you should only use them sparingly, probably for 2 weeks straight, and then at least go off them for like 2 weeks or a month. This is an ointment. Let me see. It's called triamcinolone, I guess. Triamcinolone acetonide ointment. So this is what I use on my elbows, and I only use it once. I only use it for 2 weeks. And luckily, one of these little tubes lasts about 2 weeks. So it's basically as soon as I'm done with a tube, I am done for at least another 2 weeks or a month. And yeah, it's just twice a day. Apply it where I'll actually put some on right now because it's probably my second time of the day. But yeah, just apply it right on. And I have found that, like, I wouldn't go more than 2 weeks with like continuously using this, because it does have some side effects. It does, like, at least for me, cause some redness around my mouth, which is I think it's called dermatitis, something like that. I don't know, my dermatologist told me what it was called, and it is a side effect of the steroid. But if you only do it for 2 weeks, it doesn't really affect you that much. And if you don't see all the results you want to in the first 2 weeks, take 2 weeks off and then do another 2 weeks. And I feel like you do see a lot more results the more cycles that you do. So I would definitely recommend this. Has helped me a lot on my skin lesions and non-scalp related stuff. Right now, my scalp is probably the biggest pain point for me, because I live in the Bay Area. I wear a lot of pants. I wear a lot of long sleeves. Like, I'm not super concerned about how, like, the appearance of maybe my, like, elbows are, but when it comes to, like, my head, I'm not, like, gonna wear a hat or shave my head or something like that. So not having a clean scalp and feeling like I'm not dry and flaky on my scalp just gives me a lot more confidence at work and stuff like that. It makes me feel like I can wear the clothes I want to wear. So that is probably most important to me, and that's the next two things I'm going to talk about. This is called clobetasol. It's something that I actually had to, like, ask my doctor for straight up. The words never came out of his mouth. I learned about it on a message board. So just don't be afraid to do that. If you have heard of a medication that you think might be good for you and your doctor isn't necessarily, suggesting it to you, if you want to try it, especially for something like psoriasis, I'm not saying, like, try and cure, your own cancer, but for something like psoriasis, I would say do your own research, be your own advocate. Your doctor doesn't necessarily know everything that you're dealing with, so feel free to, like, do all the research that you want and ask your doctor for the treatments that you think that would work for you. So I heard from a lot of people on a lot of message boards that clobetasol was a very, very good scalp treatment, and they were right, or at least for me they were. Using it twice a day for about 2 weeks, no more, clears me up for a month or so, and then yeah, it might get a little bit, it might come back a little bit, it might act up a little bit. Usually that's a big lifestyle thing, like, especially if I go on vacation or if I overindulge on wine or, like, even dairy and stuff like that can cause a bit of a flare up. Like, I'll just go back to this for another couple weeks, and usually I get it back under control. So this is called clobetasol probionate, and it's just a topical scalp solution that you use twice a day. It's no walk in the park. It's kind of gross, kind of oily, but it's not like coal tar, I'll tell you that. So yeah, that is something that I would definitely recommend if you have the same issue that I do. The other thing that I actually like, this is from Target, and this is probably good for anyone that has any kind of scalp condition, not just psoriasis. It's totally over the counter. I actually bought a bunch of, like, more expensive shampoos dedicated specifically towards scalp dryness or scalp flaking. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen ads for Briogeo, which is, like, the new online hair care line that's specifically for scalp dryness. I wasn't super impressed with them, but this is just from Target. It's Kristen S Instant Exfoliating Scalp Scrub. And it works really well. It's like super, super exfoliating. It's almost like a salt water or like a sugar scrub for your body, but it's actually for your hair and your scalp. So whenever I find that it really, like, just feels like it cleans my scalp really well. And I like to use it with my trusty ketoconazole, 3 times a week. And I think that it keeps my flaking at bay quite a bit. So it's a big kind of a bummer. Like, I always wish that I could, go to Sephora and, like, smell all the wonderful products that they have or all the different concoctions they have to build up body or shine or whatever. But at this point, all I need to worry about is what is going to get my scalp healthy and have and not dry and moisturize, because that is like my number one priority. Maybe when I get it under control for good, I can be somebody who's like, you know, trying all these fancy, nice smelling, you know, concoctions that they have. But for now, I tend to stick to whatever is going to make my scalp healthy. So that's just living with psoriasis. But yeah, so I hope this was helpful for anyone. I personally have put a lot of effort into finding recommendations for psoriasis stuff, and there's not a lot of information out there, so I figured that for my very first video I would try and be a resource for those who are looking for it. So yeah, I hope that was useful, and feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, because I hope to do a lot more informative videos about a variety of topics that you are hopefully interested in. Oh yeah, smash the like button. Wait, what do I say? So thanks and bye. Okay. Do I clap?